Puppies? What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. It is Wednesday. We are joined with a special guest tonight, Fropsie. How you doing, my dude?
Hello, I'm doing pretty good. How's everyone doing tonight?
Doing all right, man. Doing
Good.
all right.
Better now because my mic is playing loosey goosey on me today.
How does it be like that? How does it?
It'd be like that, man.
It do be like that.
What's up, everyone? Real quick, Pseudo Smile, thank you for the sub. 7 months at tier 1. Thank you very, very much. Guys, we got some cool stuff to go over today. Some spice things happened today. So excited to get into that. But first, we want to thank Fropsie for coming on the show. And also, this month was one of the weird. I usually handle all of the scheduling like a month out, but for whatever reason, June was just very difficult to get scheduled. And I messaged Fropsie, and Osiris was like, "Oh, do you hit up Fropsie?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, duh." I hit him up. He was like, "Wait, really? Sweet." I was like, "Cool. Can you do next week?" And he was like, "Shit. All right, cool." So thanks for being a team player. So it's been. Thank you for saving me the trouble of having to find someone last second. Although I did ask you like Wednesday afternoon, which is probably the worst time to ask someone because they're like, "Wait, tonight?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah, at first I was freaking out. I was like, "Oh wait, hold on, next week, no problem."
So
It was funny because Chewy was like, "Man, I don't know who we could get," and I was like, because I know you had been doing the like design stuff that you were in Top Clack's general chat doing that, and then now you've transitioned to doing that on Twitch, where you kind of go through design, which is really awesome. And I was like, man, that'd be cool to get him on to talk a little bit about that, talk about designing keyboards. Also, I want to thank you for the 8 months, and then holy shit, thank you for the 10 gifted. Appreciate it, my dude.
hell yeah, man.
You're
I would.
doing well.
I went in with the power play.
Power dude, big power play.
Trying to get that scam train up and running.
So it is funny though, like, scheduling is such an interesting thing because oftentimes I have to message someone I've never. All right, well, Rick Clack with the big flex. Rick Clack, thank you, Rick, for the 10 gifted subs
and the 100 bits. Appreciate it.
all the awesome people in this community. Thank you very, very much. But no, it was very. It's very strange, kind of being like, "Hey, you don't know me, or you may have heard my name or heard Mechs on Deck just kind of through the Discords or whatever. But cool, come chat with us on video for 2 hours and do all that." And most of the time it goes well. That's all I'll say. But anyway, Fropsie, for those who don't know, he has worked on a bunch of boards. He has given lots of helpful advice to other people who are also designing boards. He has probably had his hand in something that you have admired or at least liked. He is the designer of the Godspeed 75 and the upcoming, I'm going to say this, is it Sakura 660?
Yeah.
Maybe pick an easier name to pronounce. There's my first critique. If you're open to constructive criticism, kidding. But as well as many, many other ongoing projects. So welcome, Fropsie.
Hello. Cafe 660.
The one-off
keyboard build life has been a bit eventful lately. It's as if everyone wants to pay money for a commission and such. So I've just been getting my hands tied with constant barrages of PMs requesting for different board designs or when a board will release. And it's like, people, hold on for your money a little longer, please.
Hey, it's good to be busy. So
yeah.
If you don't know, we like to start our shows with what we like to call the Fast Four. So first and foremost, top 4 favorite switches.
I think top for me is the MX Crema custom switch of mine, followed by Alpacas and Chilios, and probably Koalas is number 4.
Interesting.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I made some MX creams a long time ago. I don't know if you remember that, Osiris.
I do. I remember that because I made
Pacos.
clears. Well, then you got like MX clears, and then you were like, let me put the cream.
I got MX blacks, and then I
MX
tried them, and
blacks,
I was
that's
like,
right.
meh. And then I wanted to make Pacos, so I had all the. So what the MX cream is that a cream stem inside of an MX housing?
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. So it was just kind of one of those. Well, this is sitting here, and I don't really care about these switches a whole lot, so I'll just kind of throw them at solid switch.
Yeah, I
Solid
love them.
switch.
With Vint housings, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
I
It's a good way to use some switches you might have lying around, because I feel like cherry switches are like super like unused right now. Like no one's really flexing their MX switches anymore. Even like vintage blacks have
Yeah.
kind of taken a back seat to all these like JWK linear switches, inks. Like you don't hear about it as much as like last summer. So a little bit less than a year ago, everyone was still on the MX blacks train.
yeah.
It shocks me that even like alpacas have managed to gain more hype than Nixies, which is saying something since
Yeah.
see a Nixie, people would just go crazy over it.
Dude.
You know, I honestly, and I think I like the alpacas more than the inks. I think they sound better.
Same here.
I think that it's such a muted and muffled sound with the inks. So it's interesting. Shots fired. Well, Lang, get out. I love you, Lang. I've been shitting on Lang like all day.
Yeah, you have.
like full
Lang,
disclosure, someone asked, I did like a little just ask me anything on Instagram, and someone was like, what do you think of the 5 most overrated keycap sets? And I was like, I don't want to call too many people out, so I'll just shit on Lang.
Just everything Lang does. Good evening, Mr. Disco Crocodile. Next up will be your top 4 favorite keycap sets.
Keycap sets. I would say number 1, Modern Dolch. Number 2, Minimal. Number 3, I would probably say Olivia. 4, it kind of goes between Space Cadet and what's that set? Originative Cyrillic.
Interesting.
I think I feel. Yeah.
I think that's the first time we've had the originative Cyrillic on any of the lists. I think
Yeah, it's definitely one of the older sets. Does not get a lot of love, but I mean, say what you will about dye sub, pad printing. It looks phenomenal.
yeah, I mean it can look really good if it's super crisp, super clean.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have weird issues like we're having with Cat Milkshake right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. Osiris, I'm going to let you pick the terms on this, because top 4 favorite boards is interesting for someone who's designed so many boards. So do we force him to not pick any of his children?
Yeah, I think we do, just so we can get like a feel for maybe some of the inspiration behind the many, many boards that he's had his hands in at this point. So top 4 without any of
4.
yours.
I would say number 1 is number 1, actually. The number 1 TKL is just my favorite everything. So, like, it goes beyond question. So when I missed the raffle over the weekend, on Friday, I was quite sad. Unfortunately, I was preoccupied with Mortal Kombat, though.
Hey,
And then
it'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah. I think number 2, even though I've not had one on hand, just looking at it, I think it's Devour. Absolutely gorgeous job done by Dixie. And number 3 will go to the Kepler. I actually had one of the Kepler prototypes on hand for a while, purchased from one of the original Kepler Proto owners. And I love that board. Even though it was a hefty board and caused a lot of damage to me, it was absolutely amazing to type on and use. And I think number 4 would probably be the Matrix 1.2 OG.
This guy likes his TKLs.
Yeah, a lot of TKLs in there.
I am a TKL boy.
Awesome.
I think with the Matrix, personally, I think it deserves a lot more love than it gets. I mean, it did get hyped up for like a short, 2-week span, and then it kind of just disappeared. But in terms of typing experience, I think it's one of the best boards I've ever typed on. ever used. It sounds unbelievable. Price for a top mount though, it wasn't too good for me since I did pay a little bit much aftermarket.
Yeah, we so at the Dallas meetup last year, Miknos brought his Jane and his Matrix that he had like literally just built, his 1.2 OG, and he was like, I think I like this thing better than the Jane V2. So I think it does get a lot of love. It's just they're really hard to get, and there's not a lot of
Yeah.
it's starting to get better, I think. Matrix is starting to kind of open up to the rest of the world, but they're just such a big deal in China that it's hard to get here in
Yeah.
America. So
I remember seeing on Geek Hack a while ago because like the Matrix Noah, I think right now like people are going absolutely crazy for that board. Like over the past month and a half, 2 months, we've seen prices or want to buys hike up from like 400 or so up to 650 to 700, which is just mind blowing that someone is willing to spend that much on a board that was like what, like 350-ish group buy.
well, it's
I
so
mean-
the one I always point back to is the M65A. That was a like $275 board at launch, is still going for $500 on the aftermarket.
Yeah, I mean, don't know if you saw recently, freaking Polaris sold for $800. $800.
Well, apparently
Yeah,
someone put an orange 75 up for $950,
Jesus Christ.
which is insane.
That's
that is just. I think someone
Anyway.
put a. Oh, sorry. Go
no,
on.
no, you go.
Recently, I actually put up a because I wanted to fish for it. Just I put up want to trade for my current OSA, just to see what people would offer, and I had someone offer Polaris. However, they said I'll offer you my Polaris, but you have to add money 2 years. And I was like, okay, have a nice day.
All right.
Good lord.
Yeah.
On that note, top 4 favorite foods.
Top 4 favorite foods. Okay,
Changing it up a little bit.
Number 1 is probably a cheeseburger. I love my Five Guys cheeseburgers. That's very certain. Number 2 is probably just T-bone steaks. Number 3 is a Persian dish, since I am a half Iranian, called adas polo. It is lentils and rice. I pretty much grew up with that. And number 4 is probably just going to be buffalo wings.
There it is.
Yeah, not much of an array. Pretty much solely a meat eater here.
Hey, burgers are good.
Yeah,
Can't go
There you
wrong
go,
with
too.
burgers.
definitely.
So, I don't know why Polaris. I don't know either. Urban Lime Polaris prices. They're just. I think it's got all that hype from Gasket, and it's also. I mean, it's a clean looking board. It's a clean, simplistic look, and if you're going for like that 60% gasket, which in reality there's not a whole lot of 60% gasket mount boards rolling around, so I think it's just that thing. But man, I can't get over the proprietary PCB. So, but anyway, so I want to start with Godspeed because this is still one of my this is probably one of my favorite 75% boards.
Thank you.
I am a huge before I realized that the shine was actually still have it. Still a huge fan of the Flash, so like that was kind of whenever that got announced, I was like, oh shit. Like, that was huge. I was like, that's cool that you're doing this kind of loosely based off of a character from the Flash, and on top of that, it was one of my favorite layouts, which is that kind of stacked 75% layout.
Yeah, I think for the Godspeed, like I'm of course a major comics fan. Like I have a bookshelf next to me just filled to the brim with comic books, and I think what inspired me to the Godspeed was after watching the Flash TV show and seeing the feature episode where sorry for anyone for spoilers, but the Godspeed episode when they first introduced him, I was like, okay, white and gold, hell yes. But I started thinking some more, and I was like, hold on, the whole white and gold colorway can be so absolutely like amazing with the Godspeed themed board. Like I don't know how to describe it because I just got jittery thinking about it, and it's like back then when I was designing, I would only do bricks. Like the Sakura 660 was my first ever design actually, but it went to say the least. I had to bench it, and then I spoke with Rise from who's with TKC. Absolutely love that guy. He said, "Try doing a 75." And I was like, you know what, I will. So I went to designing it, and right when I finished the design, I noticed that the blockers were quote unquote Dixie blockers. But by then, pretty much the board was all done. I was going to put it up on Geek Hack, and yeah, and now that boat has sailed, and now I design keyboards as my pretty much only form of making money.
Yeah, and
Like-
you've done a lot in the community in such a short time. Like it seems like you came in like firing. Like you came in and we're doing stuff right out of the gate, and we're doing great stuff right out of the gate. How did you get into keyboards, and how did you get into design?
So for mechanical keyboards, I have been in this hobby for nearly 3 years now. I want to say, pretty much when it was a little baby Fropsie. I was big into pretty much gaming. I wanted a typical childlike thought of, I want to be a pro in CS:GO. I need to get the exact keyboards the pros get, the exact mouse, everything. I want to be Shroud. So I pretty much just went on Amazon, and I started off by looking at pre-builds, and I was like, you know what, I want to try out this one company, Leopold. So I got the FC660M, which was my first ever Mac, and I had absolutely loved it. And then from there, I was like, okay, this is nice, but now I want to go to metal cubes. So I started kind of transferring more to tofu style boards, and I think I have actually not had a 60% since that first ever tofu. And I had it for a while. I mean, I had it for nearly 2 years before finally trading it up to a 65, and then going from there.
There you go.
In terms of design, keyboard design thing that was actually not meant to be. Pretty much, I went to an IB International Baccalaureate curriculum high school, so we have these things called internal assessments, where we pretty much have multiple theses per subject. And what I wanted to do for my computer science one, since you can have a physical object, is that I wanted to pretty much design a Arduino housing unit as well as run a script for it. However, me being myself, I completely got side railed and ended up just started to design keyboards. And then I pretty much just grew more and more interest into it. Started applying the things that I actually learned in class into it, and yeah, here we are.
One thing led to another.
Yeah,
I mean,
now
that's
I'm $1,000 in debt.
but it's definitely, there's not a lot of, not that I want to call you a freelance designer, but we have a lot of designers that kind of run their own thing. Like Key Colt's kind of an all internal thing. And, there are not too many designers that I can name that are not like 100% tied down with a particular company and you just kind of have your hand in everything. That's why I respect you so much, because
Thank you.
it's crazy that you're in, because a lot of people also, this hobby, while you're not, no one owes anyone anything. You're willing to help. And there are a lot of people that are willing to help, but you're kind of one of the first people to jump out and go like, hey, like, how can I help? How can I assist? How can I, make this better in any way, shape, or form? And you just don't see that, and it's not like anybody is bad for not doing that, but it just kind of puts you in this kind of awesome position of having your hand in everything.
Oh yeah, of course. Shout out to Rustu as well for recently inspiring a 60% of mine, just so I can get that out of the way so he doesn't bug me later on about it. um, in terms of the whole help thing, pretty much if I see a project, I'm like, okay, I can get behind this. I'll either drop a person a PM in Geek Hack saying, hey, you can do this, that, or this to improve it, or I normally completely ignore Geek Hack forums. However, if I normally, if it's a keyboard, I will fill it out. I will I will give them some criticism. I won't be harsh with keycap sets. For people who know me, who like spend some time with me in Top Clock when we're going over ICs with Rustu, I get very emotional about it. I am very strong about it. Most of the time, it's not the most positive stuff, but that's more the fact that it's my love for the hobby, if anything. But with keyboards, I feel like everyone has potential to do something. We need way more keyboard designs since I feel like there's almost like a 20-to-1 ratio for keycaps to keyboards. So I feel like we can just pump out more and more keyboards, and I feel like that's the best route for this hobby.
Yeah, because keyboards are like, not only are there not very many of them, they're like very hard to get in on most of the time. You know, you look at some of your bigger boards of the past couple of years, all of your key cults, all your Bowers, even your Satisfaction 75s, they're smaller runs. There's not as many open runs, which even the Polaris, like look at that was an open run and it sold insane amounts, but now they're going for insane prices because even more people want them. So yeah, we definitely do. You're right. We need more and more keyboards. We need more people designing cool things for people to buy because there's so much want in that segment of the community.
Definitely. I feel like the whole. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go, man. You just talk over
but
me if I keep talking.
I feel like the whole way of pretty much people constantly trying to limit group buys. Like one part of me is like that's somewhat a good thing because it means that the buyers are getting like their money's worth by having something that they can call theirs and more unique. Issue with that, flippers always get in.
Yep.
And when a flipper gets in and they set the market price, it means that everyone else pretty much has the need to sell at market price. Or else they'll be like, okay, well, they're selling for it. This person's also selling for it. I should also. But then it's kind of like the same predicament with unlimited group buys. You have the Polaris, which has sold tons of units. And because of that, it was also a cheaper board. But what I think about it is the fact that because it was such a cheap, such a cheap board, a lot of flippers were like, oh, free real estate, where they pretty much went for it. They could buy 2 to 3 units of it and then just flip it off of that. And since there are a lot of newbies coming to the hobby, they love 60%. Polaris is an amazing board. It's an amazing design from an amazing person. So it's like that flip value is just going to get pumped up by an insane amount.
Yeah, and I'm curious to know if with he helped design and redo the KBD8X. I'm talking about AIO3 for those who are unaware. He designed the KBD8X Mark II as well as the Polaris and the Equinox. So I'm curious to know, we're about to see more KBD8X, but I mean, obviously it's not gasket mount, so it's not going to have as much hype, but I'm curious to see if we're going to start seeing these boards that he's designing just because he had a part in it starting to sell for more and more and more, which is crazy because a year ago I would have laughed in your face if you told me, oh, people are flipping. Now this is a board kind of sold through KBD fans, but it still is very attached to KBD fans. They're like, hey, people are going to be flipping KBD fans for $800 off of a $265 board. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's insane. I honestly think that the KBD ATX and Mark II, I think it's called, is going to get flipped for insane amounts. It's a TKL. People are going absolutely crazy for TKLs. So it's like that. I have a feeling that aftermarket is going to be heyday for this board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because I feel like with even like KBD fans pre-built, they're getting flipped for insane amounts. Like people will build a tofu case, list the board for like 250, 300, and then someone will slap it up. They don't know what it is, but because someone said it's a good board, it's a metal case, looks premium, I'll buy it.
which is crazy because for the longest time, those were the only boards that you couldn't really make money on. Like you were either losing a little bit or you were maybe like just getting your money back, right? Like
Yeah.
you were never making money on a tofu or a 5 degree. You were always just kind of like either breaking even or losing a little bit. And it's just nuts to see now that there's so much demand in the hobby that boards like that are selling for over retail when you can literally just go on their website, buy them, and spend, a couple hours putting it together.
Yeah.
So
Well, even
Yeah,
we're seeing
definitely.
that with the KBD 67 Mark II. Like that's not gasket mount, and that's going for
550 for the PC one, I think I saw, or like
yeah,
600 for the
like
PC one.
400 average for a $250 kit for a board. Now, and it's funny. I use the KBD 67 for like all my arguments because it's such a versatile board. It can compare to like a 910, but it's also a KBD fan's tofu in the same way. It's also like
Yeah,
it kind of floats between the two. And it's still extremely strange to me that board is like, I remember my wife really wants one. She really likes that kind of design, that layout. And I was like, yeah, I'll kind of start looking through Mech Market. And I was like, okay, no, we're not, we're not buying
Yeah.
this anytime soon
wacky.
until these numbers go down. So
I think I definitely think that the aftermarket is really really going to take off once a lot of these bigger YouTubers start capitalizing with this hobby. I think it's Bad Seed Tech. I think is his YouTube. He started getting into keyboards now,
Yep.
and like you're starting to see that way more. You're also seeing a few other big tech YouTubers do keyboard build videos, talk about all these different like vendors. I mean, even with Dixie and Linus Tech Tips, like that was huge. And I mean, I expect this hobby just to keep on doubling over and doubling over and doubling over and over again over the next like year or two.
mhm.
I'm looking forward to seeing how this hobby will look in terms of the way it acts and as well as the actual market of it when December comes this year.
Yep.
And I think it's interesting too because the way that a lot of people justify it, and I know even like when I talk to my parents and they're like, "You're crazy for spending this much money on keyboards," and I'm like, "Well, look at the market though. Like, look at the fact that I can, if I was in a pinch, right? Like, say I lost my job and I had no money and I couldn't pay rent or something, I could sell off some of my keyboard collection and get enough money like and sell it like instantly. It's not like even when I was big into music stuff and I had a lot of guitars, a lot of different music gear, that stuff still sold way under market value. This sells at above the retail price. And it's like one of those things. It's like it's okay spending, $500 on a case and $150 on a keycap set if you know you're going to make at least 200 on the keycap set, and you can sell your case with switches and everything for probably $700-800 minimum, sometimes even more depending on which board it is.
Yeah.
It is an interesting ploy to the community, and I wonder when and if it will ever happen where we hit that break to where things start to kind of even back out, where the flip numbers start coming down. I don't know. We may never get there. It may be like streetwear, like shoes. I know you were a big sneakerhead for a while, where
Yes, still am.
they always
Unfortunately.
yeah, well, and that's a great community that's so huge, but it always preserves the aftermarket sale by doing limited runs, right?
Yeah.
It never seems like in the sneaker community there's enough to go around, and there's always people who they have everything but they still want more.
Yep.
So
Oh my god, definitely. I feel like so recently I was speaking to someone who was selling their TGR Jane. I was just chatting with them and they were selling their like Jane V2 CE brand new, and they were selling it for they were going to trade it. They were looking for a Alice. Now I was talking with a person and he said, "Yeah, I've gotten I think around about 80 PM so far, each offering $4,000 to $5,000." And it's like that much for a keyboard is just unbelievable. I'm noticing this is a lot like the sneaker community actually with the whole Air Yeezy thing, where pretty much the shoes were selling at like a very minimal price. I mean not minimal, but like 800 plus for a good amount of time, and then Kanye went to Adidas, and everyone freaked out. Everyone was offering thousands of dollars to the point where the prices all just completely spiked like crazy. So now getting a pair is like picking a needle out of a haystack. And I think it's going to happen to this community as well, where you see these older boards with designers that aren't as active and they don't get as many re-releases, just bump up in price.
Yeah, the unbuilt kit from a board that's like 2 years old is going to be the equivalent of the brand new inbox shoes in the sneaker community.
Yeah,
it's dead stock
stock
keyboard. So Wilson 1155 brings up something that I feel like we've talked about at least once or twice before, but should be our governing body on aftermarket prices. This is an interesting topic because, while yes, in theory, it's like, oh, of course, like obviously that should be a thing. It gets extremely complicated like 3 seconds after putting more and more thought into it because, Why Not says yes, free market. Who's to say that if someone, we had Mr. Keebs on here a long time ago, and he brought up the idea of perceived value, where it kind of depends. Osiris and I have a couple different boards that are easily worth more than what we paid for them at group buy cost. But like the Baca, there's only 20 Bacas, and there's only one that has a number 9. Oh yeah, by the way, let's everybody raise your hand who has a Baca. Yeah. Okay. I had to. Like, you knew that was coming eventually.
I know. I shouldn't have said anything.
But these are boards that, like, how do you put a price on that? This is a one of 20 that if somebody else is willing to spend $700, okay, it's worth $700. Someone else might go, I only want to pay $400. Why wouldn't, if I decided I wanted to sell my Baca, why wouldn't I be able to make as much money as I want to? So that's where it kind of gets this goofy, like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble for not wanting to make money. Like, I know that's kind of the words of the flipper, but who's to say that, while it sucks, flipping is a thing. It's also kind of like,
isn't it? It's great for the community though. Like, in the same capacity that it's bad, it's good. Like the thing about if the market, if the mech market economy was lower, there wouldn't be as much of a push for new things to happen as quickly as they are, right? Like, we could just sit here and just trade around the same boards over and over again. Whereas what we've seen, and the KBD 67 is a great example of like the fact that a board that released in 2020 or 2019 is just as good as a super high-end board that was released in 2017, and how it compares to the 910 in a lot of ways. It's very similar, and it's fairly comparable, and that innovations have gotten so good that the price point of that is bringing it down. But you'll never see a 910 sell for KBD fans, KBD 67 Mark II, even at the 67 Mark II flip prices. You won't see a 910 for that.
Yeah. And if you do, buy it.
Yeah.
if you see a TGR 910 for like $500, buy that shit ASAP.
Instant 3 times your money invested earned.
Yeah. But and I think it's good that it's open, because it maintains what the community wants. Like, if TKLs are selling for crazy amounts, or like right now 65% are selling for insane amounts on the aftermarket, that means, hey, we need more of those. We need more of those.
Yeah.
And boards that are, with knobs and screens, or wind keyless that aren't typically wind keyless, like, it's a great gauge for the community of what the community wants and what it needs.
I think one thing I've gotten flack for it before, but I personally think that, like, the Jane itself is not that insane of a board. I think it's hyped up purely because it's nearly impossible to obtain. The board itself and the tapping experience is okay. Like I said before, the Matrix 1.2 OG is just as good as it. Like, I think a lot of it is the fact that you also have a lot of new people who come in. They see these expensive boards. They're cool looking, yes, but they put it on such a pedestal. They think that the quality is better, the typing experience is better. It just sounds better than everything else. And it's like in reality, it's just super limited.
Yep.
Like I feel like Keycult does make that exception because their boards are just unbelievable. Like
I
feel good, sound good.
I think, and we've talked about that before, of how there's, I think at the beginning of last year, and really in the middle of last year, we started to see a change where I think at the beginning of 2019, TGR and Ecult were kind of considered neck and neck. But because TGR just kind of did the same thing over and over again and just didn't really change a lot of what they've done, whereas Keycult has, with the number 265 now and the number 3 that's coming out, that they are kind of taking steps forward and becoming a more luxury, more boutique brand than what TGR is. TGR is just there for, it's kind of like, it's got the mystique around it. It's got the, it's been part of the community for a long time and was making high class boards when high class boards were hard to come by, because everything in 2017, 2016, even the stuff back then that I've felt was not super great, right? Like it was okay. We've come a long way.
Yeah, it's interesting because like TGR, to me, the way TGR is talked about now is the way OTD was talked about 2 years ago, where it's like this mystique. They're very hard to get. They're very expensive. Good, solid quality boards, but they're not. There's just a lot of this like extra, like mystique about it. Thank you, Krelbit, for the 11 months. Want to sell GMK handed by $420. PM me.
PM incoming. PM incoming.
But it's just kind of that. Yeah, it's that mystique. It's that like, and that, what you are buying with TGR is you're going to get a good board. And you're going to get a board it's going to be a solid board, and it's going to be a board that, unless you throw it on the ground, it's going to retain, if not gain, in value. So, like, how crazy would it be? Like, Cyrus, you talk about this with your dad, I know, but how crazy would it be if you bought a car and then like you drive it for 30,000 miles and then just flip it
and double your money?
Yeah, double your money. Like that's unheard of. From like shoes, the second you wear them and you scuff the bottom on the concrete,
half
price.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of the few hobbies where the second you put your money into something, you will get more than the money you put in right back, like almost instantaneously. Like even with some sets that like come out a little bit scuffed, people still want to pay nearly double the amount that it costs, and it's like, really right now?
Well, and it's like, it's one of those things when the next time you're like thinking about, I'm so mad the group buy that I'm in is delayed. Like think about that. Like you can be comforted in the fact that if you ever want to get out of it, or you get it, you want to sell it, your money's there. Like you're making money on it, like regardless. And it's one of those things. It's like, whether or not you think flipping is wrong or flipping is bad, it's like, it's a nature of the community. It's every community that's like this. That has this sense of like, it's not even manufactured scarcity, it's actual scarcity. So it's like, you're always going to have the ability to sell it for more than you bought it for. Like even if the community stagnated for a year, we would still be in the same position, because there are so few boards coming out, and there are so many people who are like, the community got like a specific setup got that person into the community. And that's their grail. That's one that they want. And if that comes available, they're willing to spend as much as they want on it,
Mm-hmm.
One thing
sorry, no, you go.
One thing, like in regards to like kind of like the grail board, one thing I've noticed is that in the hobby, some people will kind of crap on you for showing off your grail board. Like this is like, some people will like say like, oh yeah, I have this tofu, it's my absolute dream board, And then you'll always get those one or two people who are like, that's crap.
Yep. I mean, that's
And
just
it's kind of like,
too.
yeah, I feel like, but in like, I've noticed it a lot more in this hobby in the recent. Like before, it was kind of people just like cool and then just walk along. Now it's kind of just, I guess maybe it's pent up from quarantine, but definitely a lot more.
I mean, I've
forthcoming
been
people.
I feel you because I've been given crap about. They're like, Fiel's just a tofu, and I'm like, the Fiel was a Grail board of
Yeah,
mine.
it's
I saw the Fiel 2 years ago. I saw a Fiel, and I was like, I want that. And I bought a 5 degree because I couldn't afford a Fiel at the time. And then I got a Fiel, and I was like, this is amazing. This is everything I ever wanted.
Yeah.
People will still tell me, Fiel is basically just a tofu. I'm like, one, it's not, and two, like F off. Like,
Yeah.
fuck you for me liking something.
Also, Krellbit, you can be comforted in the fact that Chewy has technically split right shift and split backspace on an Austin. So
Yes.
so you're fine.
I was gonna make a comment on split backspace, but I just noticed that my current board has a split backspace on it. So
Dude,
I
it's
Split
work
just
with that.
backspace
easier.
on an Austin, man.
It's just easier.
It's beautiful, man.
Big,
me.
big boards with split backspace is fine by me.
Um,
Not that,
but yeah,
that matters
it's
to me, or not that my opinion matters, but
split is good. Hey, we can agree on something, Dixie. Get your freaking alpha pipe key out of here first, though.
Hold on. Alpha pipe key the only way.
Dude, fight me. All right.
just
I'm
looks so
glad
much
you didn't get a
cleaner.
Baka because I would hate to see it. Kidding.
Honestly, I probably would have put mod colored pipe on a 60, just for symmetry.
Well, it's the symmetry. Although you don't really use a pipe key on a Baka because that fixed plate life. Man, I had something else to say about the freak. Oh, I do think that there should be a clarification between like flipping, because like to me, a true flipper is someone who does two things. One is they are intentionally going super above and beyond what you would call reasonable, like getting a set that cost $120 and immediately putting it up for $250 to $300, and not even opening it, literally buying it with the intent to flip. That is a flip. I don't think it's wrong of somebody to go, I used this for a little bit. It's not quite what I really liked. I opened it up, I put it on a board, I typed on it for a day, realized I didn't like it. And if the board's 120 and they sell it for $2 to $220 to get a little extra money back to maybe go buy another keycap set or whatever. Personally, I don't think that is as much flipping, or I don't get aggressive with that person. That's someone that bought something, didn't like it, and is taking advantage of the fact that this hobby is awesome, that you can kind of do that. You can kind of take these risks without risk.
Yeah, I feel like with flipping, so I have very mixed feelings on flipping itself, because in one hand, it's like you're pretty much selling things for a profit. You're profiting off of someone else's hard work with pretty much the excuse of, well, I waited X amount of months for this, therefore I have justification to flip. And it's like, oh, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I'm not a fan of that. But on the other hand, if it doesn't affect that, flipping does kind of keep this hobby going. Because you always want to have money pretty much circulating in this hobby. People buy flippers boards. Flippers then join on more group buys. Group buys then make it. And then it's just the cycle just repeats over and over again.
Yeah.
So I feel like some aspect of it, it's healthy and it grows it. Other part of it kind of screws everyone else over. And it is not very friendly to people who are trying to pretty much buy into the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if you look at, I like to think about the fact that Key Cult, right? Like their commissions was in a sense their commission program was in a sense a direct reflection of what was happening with the flipping prices, right? Like the flipping prices made their commissions seem extremely reasonably priced. Like you can get a 100% custom to you board that is a Key Cult, brand new, hasn't been in anyone else's hands, at maybe a little bit more than what you could get a flipped board for. And I think they definitely made a lot of of money off that. They've been able to be very successful off of doing those commissions, and I'll be interested to see if more brands do things like that. Will there where they open up their designs to be commissioned in order to maybe make a little bit extra if they want to do, other things, purchase a CNC. Who knows? I think that's a cool idea. I would love to see more companies do that. But yeah, I think flipping is a weird situation because I think you also have a lot of people who they see the flippers and then they go, like, if I had a Polaris right now and I was like, well, I paid $300 for this. This board is now selling for $600. Is this board worth $600 to me? Maybe not, but I can sell it for $600 and then I get money. Because I think there's a lot of people who have that mindset of like they see what's happening on Mech Market, maybe, and it changes their mind as to maybe I don't value this board as much as I thought.
YouTube name is I don't want
Yeah.
to be coming across as self-promo, but is it?
Yeah, personally, I'm kind of the opposite. Like, I have boards that I absolutely adore and love. Like, they're like my everything, but I have to sell money to, not sell money, sell the board to afford prototypes, since prototyping is a little brat, to say the least. So I end up just like PMing a friend who's looking for a board similar to it and say, hey, I'll sell this to you. I'll sell it to you for like half of what I paid, just so I can instantly get that cash. Even though I know I can put on Mech Market to a rando and make more than double the amount that I spent on it, but it's like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember whenever I sold GMK Olivia, I very rarely call people. I called Eric because I was like, I don't know what to sell this at, man. These people are getting $350, and while I don't, I'm like, I'm not trying to make because the one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to give it. I usually try and sell my stuff to people I know first. Like if I have, especially with keycap sets, if I have a keycap set that someone really likes and didn't get, I'm like, I'd rather it go to you. I'm not gonna, and I'll just sell it to you for whatever I paid. But with Olivia, Olivia was one of the first sets where it was kind of like, wait, time out. You can make a lot of money on this. Yeah. Not like Nautilus, where it was like, everything's 200. You sell it and buy it for 220. It was like, oh, okay, like whatever. That's just making $20 extra. Where this was like, I remember talking to Eric because Eric didn't buy it because he didn't feel like what he would be. Didn't want to pay a huge price, but he didn't want to pay. I did offer it to him, and he's like, I don't want you to miss out on any opportunity.
Yeah, I was basically like, what I'm willing to pay for it is not as much as you can get for this, and that you should get for this.
Because I think so. Right here, I actually do have a round one Olivia. See, I did the stupid thing. I bought it during the group buy for Olivia ++, because I am not a patient person. I am not built for this hobby at all. Like, I'm incredibly impatient. I want everything immediately. I need that instant gratification. So I pretty much bought it during during the Olivia ++ group buy for I think close to $400. And now it's like, I don't want to sell this. I know that if I sell it, people are going to say, Rob, you're a flipper. You're a hypocrite. But then part of me is like, also, I really still want this set.
It looks great on boards. It does. It's the whole flipping culture is just such a strange thing. So it's like, we didn't have it, probably wouldn't have as much money getting pumped into this hobby, but it's a very common answer on here. We ask questions like, what's your least favorite part about the hobby? We get I think half of the answers in 2018 where I hate flippers. And it's like, well, but what is a flipper? Right? There's a very gray area of
the flippers set the market. Also, I clicked on the Reddit link for this.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This Iron 165 gray sold for $1,300.
Potentially, yeah. We don't. Up to
we don't $1,300. I would assume over $1,000.
Yeah, and that's not the Iron Edition.
Yeah, that's the standard.
Is mental.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
Because that's
flipping is bad. Flipping is bad until I do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think flipping is such a loose term. I think that's
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's like flipping is not, I've had my board for a year and now I'm selling it for what the market price is, right? Like it's not, I have my keycap set that has shine on it and I'm selling it for what they're selling for. To me, flipping is, I got this board in, like, I bought it with the intention of like, I'm going to sell this. Or maybe I bought it with the intention of, I'm not really sure, but I know I can get money. And so then you
Yeah.
just sell it right then. I think that's
I
flipping.
think there's definitely a blurred line between someone being a reseller and being a flipper.
Yeah.
Because when you say reseller in most other communities and hobbies, it just means you're reselling this product for either at cost or for a little bit of a profit. But things that when you then call people who are quote unquote flipping, but with not the actual intent of originally flipping, you can't call them flippers because they didn't want to flip. Like I spoke with this person in DMs because they put up a board for I think like 500 over group buy, and they said, "Yeah, my friends told me to sell for this much. People are PMing me, pretty much calling me a flipper. I have no idea what to do." And it's like that sucks because you're also going to see a lot of newer members of this community who come into it and will pretty much just start flipping a board because they won't like the way it looks or because their tastes have changed from when they first entered versus spending that 9 months pretty much in this hobby, testing new stuff out, looking at new stuff. So it's kind of just a on-off switch, I guess is the best way of saying it.
And someone says, don't worry, Tyler Huffam, we will get to that, I promise. Hugo Keys does bring up an interesting thing with just kind of, if you sold under, are you not doing a disservice to a lot of people? So if I have GMK Olivia and I sell it for $180, am I not, now what I will say is when I see stuff like this, typically it's like the one-off and it gets ignored. But if you start that really low bidding, you could potentially be, I mean, devil's advocate, you could potentially be robbing people of a lot of money by setting it too low.
Yeah.
Like destroying the
Yeah,
market.
destroying its aftermarket price.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like should things sell at group buy price? I don't think so. I think the aftermarket being like priced higher than group buy is extremely good for the community because I think it keeps people on wanting to purchase new things, right? Like if I could go buy every keycap set I want for, even just a little bit over, like a set that sold for 120 for 150, I think that would hurt the community a lot because there would be way more people that just aren't buying new sets. They're not willing to wait. They're just only buying aftermarket. So then your new sets would stagnate and your old sets would still sell on Mech Market like crazy. I think it would. I think that would hurt the community. I think we need the aftermarket to be at least somewhat inflated, so that way it continues to push the innovation and the new products to come out.
In regards to flipping once again, one thing that kind of shocked me, it's happened to me as well, is some people ask the designers of boards how much their board will flip for. So like in my server, someone PM'd me, pinged me and said, "How much do you think I can flip the Godspeed 75 for?" And at first I was like, "This person's joking." And then I had a few other people like who are on my server saying, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, how much can I flip this board for? I bought it for this much, but I kind of want to make some money on it." So I was just speechless. And supposedly people have also been going into other keyboard designers' discords. I believe some people even said stuff about that like that in AIO3's server. Pretty much saying, how much will this flip for? Is it worth it? And it's kind of just like, if this hobby is changing to that mentality, I don't even want to look at the future of the mech market and the aftermarket.
That's like a huge thing with artisans too.
Yeah.
And 10 Strong, we're not saying it's okay to do. Yes, the market is super inflated. I think there's a sweet spot of like a percentage above group buy that makes the most sense, that continues to please both sides, right? To where people who spent money and waited get that back and maybe a little bit more. And the but it keeps people from flipping, right? Like a Iron 165 flipping for $1,300, that's insane. That's not good.
That's flipping.
But maybe an Iron 165 selling for 650 or 700, maybe that seems a much more reasonable increase on the base price for a board that is extremely good.
Yeah.
I think that's healthy.
That Reddit post just set the market.
Right.
That Reddit post just made it so that, hey, someone is willing to pay $1,300 for this. And that's not even the fancy one. That's not even the nice one. They're both nice, but that's not even the copper. So it's kind of just a strange. The aftermarket of this is such a strange thing.
I remember a little bit ago on Mech Market, it was kind of like when I was on VC, it was kind of like a big ordeal where some person pretty much made a post. I forget if it was with Mizu or Henderbait, and they put it up saying want to sell Henderbait or Mizu, 500 shipped.
Get those two sets mixed up all the time. Sorry.
No, because it was one of those. It was around like the time period where like people were kind of starting to notice and like flip prices started hiking up quite a decent amount. And I guess what had happened is that the person had pretty much made a fake Mech Market post, flipping a set to themselves. And pretty much what they were doing is that they were trying to set a market price. That way people can then, the next time that they can then go on their alt and sell it, they can then sell it for that much and make that money. Or even charge even more since they think, okay, there's a demand for 500 now.
Mm-hmm.
Time to see if I can push it even further.
Yeah, dude.
So then they'll list it again. And it's like scummy stuff like that is just going to have an adverse effect on the community and everyone on it.
Well, that's also the nature of like it being Mech Market, right? Like if, people were talking about having a governing body. I don't know if we necessarily need a governing body, but if we had a website like how the sneaker community has like GOAT and StockX, where it's consistently where you can see and everything is more tracked. That would make it to where stuff like that wouldn't happen because you would know like instantly. You'd be able to tell.
Governor Osiris. Yep. I nominate Osiris.
Nah, I don't want to do that. I'd have so many people mad at me if I did that. It'd be like, you can't sell your Jane for $4,000. You got to sell it for $2,000. Also, I think there's like another aspect of it where like boards that are older, that are in really, really good condition should start seeing increases in price. Like, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah, that's fine.
Like if you have a board from
$5,000.
Yeah, $5,000 is a little bit much, but I think you should, that should naturally happen, right? Like if you have a board that's like a Jane, for instance, that's really good condition, it looks great, doesn't have scratches on with a little back piece where it says Jane or anything, and that should sell for more, right? Like the quality of the board as far as the condition should help increase the price, not just the name that's on it or the model.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like name is a massive thing in this hobby. That is for certain. Mm-hmm. I was having this conversation earlier on, pretty much about like TGR and key calls and how with the recent key call raffle, for example, when I think I can comfortably say they had thousands of entries for it, and only I think like it was a 7% chance of winning that thing. So I do think that people do kind of have a bad taste in their mouth from that. I personally see no issue with it. People also have an issue with what was it? Victory as well, where it's pretty much the designer / vendor pretty much setting the market value for the item, which can get a little sus, I think, at some points. To some, not myself. I think Victory is completely fine. I think that they have the full right to do that. They should make as much money as they want. Oh. Okay, Dixie. I know. I'm defending yay vendors.
Yeah, I think Vickery is a great thing for vendors to be able to make additional money, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it's
Yeah,
one of those
I think they
things.
deserve it.
Yeah, they deserve it. I do hate that it in turn kind of sets the market, but I think what because correct me if I'm wrong, Dixie. Like for the Bauer, those boards that were Vickeried were like a special. Like they were different than group buy boards. They were all significantly different. So I think there's a way to like say, all right, well these are the Vickery boards. These are different. These are special. This isn't the same as what the run was. So it's not the same thing. So it's not apples to apples. I think that can help. I think that can help with changing the mentality of okay, well the Vickery sets the market price.
Mm-hmm. That's Vickery is a whole nother thing. But to move on a little bit away from aftermarket and flipping, I do want to talk about some fun news came out today. Some spicy, so get your popcorn, get your melons. Something that we haven't really seen yet so far. So if you guys have not seen or heard the rumblings around you know what? No, Tyler Huffam. We're going to show off our keyboards first because he asked that. I'm using
SM.
a stacked acrylic SM keyboards, 60% that I built last night.
I'll show mine. I'm actually
You go ahead
using
first.
I'm using my Bauer still with 2008 brass bottom.
That's the one that got away on that board. I am using a prototype of mine. It's called the SF65. Soon TM, it will be changed since there was a lot of comparisons to the J series boards, which was not the intent. But yeah, also kind of memed on it by adding this to it.
Yes,
Supreme.
I love it.
People were making jokes about Supreme, so I was like, you know what, I'll stick it to him. So I slapped a Supreme sticker on the bottom for the meme.
And I do want to. We'll talk about the SF boards after this, but for those who don't know, GMK Blink got taken down. GMK Blink was heavily inspired by a K-pop group called Blackpink. It is, they had a lot of the novelties. If you want to post a picture of the novelties, their likeness is used. Phrases from that, a lot of that got obviously used, however you want to say it, inspired by, used. This is the first time. So what we saw, there was a statement, just because I don't like reading, they made a statement about how shutting this down. So Osiris, take it away with the statement.
Okay, so due to a copyright notice from YG, the Korean entertainment company that owns Blackpink, we've decided to take down the keycap set until the artist modifies the set to have less reference to the K-pop group. We will be unable to sell GMK Blink or anything related to Blink, as YG uses the term Blink for their K-pop group. So interesting. This is one of the few times where it's been like I feel like initiated on that side. I know we've had some where it's like I think with the GMK Hero, I think they tried to reach out to Nintendo for that and then got nixed. But this is one of the first times where they've gone out on their own to say, "Hey, no."
I think with the Rudy Rama cap as well, that was also yoinked because Notre Dame was like, "Hell no." I definitely feel like the whole use of others' IP is going to become a bigger issue in the future with this hobby. We're going to see a lot more TV, music, game inspired sets. I mean, it's already spiked up in the past week and a half. So I think it's only going to get worse, and I think we're going to see a lot more of these kind of almost DMCA takedown requests. I think they are.
Yeah. I think it's funny because it's the same time. So like Twitch is going through an intense issue with DMCA takedowns happening, which is kind of in the same vein as this, where it's like, you know, it's been a big deal on YouTube where you can claim a that they're using your song, they're using something from you, your likeness, and now this is happening with sets. I think there's a difference between it being inspired and changing parameters of it to show that it's inspired and it's not a direct copy. But I think this, when you start using like names
Phrases.
of their songs and like
Their
stuff like that,
faces.
their faces, I think it's like it's too much, right? Like that's to the point where it's like, okay, you need to have something from them saying that this is okay. Like, just get like, why do that? Like, just try to be a little bit more inspired rather than copied, you know?
Yeah. One thing I have mixed feelings about this set, but I'm also with GMK White Wolf, which I pray to God that CDPR approves, because I think that like the knobs are sick. To have a Witcher themed set would just be amazing. But they kind of did the smart thing of reaching out during the IEC process instead of just pushing ahead, hoping that they'll go by undetected. And also I don't get, because wouldn't you want to have a licensed set as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
look at Moomin, right? Like a lot of people have no
Yeah.
idea what that is related to. There are some people who I guess love that show as well, but it's a big deal every time that gets happened, and the whole community makes a big deal out of it. Same thing with what just happened with S-Craft with the Pokemon Company.
Yep. Going through the proper channels. And so we've seen this now a few times where they've gone out. So like Moomin was, the most recent, and at least with a full keycap set. But Novel Keys reaching out to Star Wars and to Disney and going, hey, let's get the licensing. That's the smart play. You can go as far back as the Scrabble set. That's an officially licensed by, I think that's Hasbro, I believe, owns Scrabble. So the Scrabble set even got in on, hey, let's go through the proper channels and let's get this handled appropriately so that when so this doesn't happen. And we haven't really seen this happen. I think a lot of people have gotten lucky so far. And I think this is going to shift a lot of people's thoughts, because the bigger this community gets, and with people like Linus and Random Frank P and Bad Seed, more eyes are seeing this stuff. And all it takes is one random person at this company to be like, hey, have you seen this? And then the whole thing's taken.
Couple things. First thing that I'm actually shocked about is the fact that no one has attempted to contact Discord about doing a Discord set. Because if you look at some like their dev videos, you'll see a lot of them with customs. So it's kind of like it's almost a matter of time before someone reaches out and says, let's have a licensed Discord Lite, Discord Dark theme set. I would buy that, to be honest.
It'd be pretty sweet.
Just to say, I have a Discord set. But I am excited to see in the future, and I really, really do hope so that people start doing licensed boards as well.
Mm-hmm.
To have like a Disney licensed mechanical keyboard be like, my dream would be, in order to get lucky enough to pretty much design the Mandalorian themed board, because I mean I already have in my head, I planned this months ago of like what I would have for it, what weight style, materials used, colorways, everything.
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
So,
I'm on board with the SpongeBob board.
Dude, Scar 65 sounds dope. Like, just the name of it. Also, I do like what Krelbit said, and I think that's super important, is he's talking about how GMK Ultra had copyright snags, but there were clear guidelines by Unfotable/Type Moon about the IP. I think that's one of those things that's great, is figuring out what the guidelines are and figuring out how to be within the restrictions of those guidelines, so that way you don't get in trouble. And I think that's where, when you don't do that and you just don't even try and don't even put any work into that, then it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to get taken down. And I'm like, I'm not mad for you. Like, it's like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it is curious. We were talking actually before the show about all this, because we were kind of going through. There are a lot of sets that have taken some liberal use of likeness with, and it does make me, with this GMK Dream Eater, or not GMK, but SA Dream Eater, I believe is the name of it, where that's coming out. And if they just got the stuff from the Pokemon company, I'm curious to know if they're going through the proper channels now, because Vileplume has a lot of issues. Yeah, and the Animal Crossing, that's like like straight ripped off. Like not even likeness. That's literally
that sold like crazy. By the way, I decided to check the group buy page on the last day, and I was like, "Holy mother of God!"
Yeah, like it's insane.
Didn't it sell? It sold like 500 kits in the first like 5 hours.
Yeah, it was insane.
So, yeah.
And then the other one that I was talking about beforehand is SA Berserk. If anyone remembers, that hit 3 different IPs. that Berserk is its own anime, and I don't know manga. I watched the show. It was a solid show. But they also had Flash novelties from DC, and they also had Iron Man novelties from Marvel. Both incredibly intense companies to have to work around, with Warner Brothers and Disney. I mean, those are huge companies. So it's very, I'm just, yeah. But what we also said is that set was sold such a long time ago, before the community was huge, or as even close to as big as it was, that it kind of went under the radar. But there are a lot. I mean, we've got the Deku set that's coming out soon, and that's, how close is too close?
The EPBT Islander thing still blows my mind, because typically Nintendo's pretty like, nah, like, get out of here, stop with this. And that's a company you don't want to fuck with. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they're just like before this ships, if they're just like, no. Because they could still technically just like throw an axe through it, Yeah. Like, all it would take is for the right person to see it and get a hold of it and say, no, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
Or you have to give me a certain licensing fee, and then they agree upon something, because I'm looking at it now. It sold 1,600 base kits.
Yeah.
But the thing I want to point out is not even that, the novelties. And that is it. And if this did become an issue, they would point to that number, because someone like a lawyer would go through and look at all the other sets that are in the community where novelties sell not nearly that number of, like, the percentage of base to novelties is never that high, ever. Yeah. And the fact that it sold 1,400, almost 1,500 novelty kits to 1,600 base kits is insane. And that's proof of like, hey, RIP is what's pushing this set, not the colors or not the anything else.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you want to know how fucked you are, if that came across where it was like, you need to give the money back or we get all of the profits. I'm just looking up right now. Animal Crossing, the new game, sold 13 million copies. They have plenty of money to hire every lawyer to ensure that you are broke and your grandchildren are broke.
Yeah, and I see people saying that, like, oh, it's just a little bit, it's not that much. They're not gonna go after it. Listen, there are it's not Nintendo themselves. There are companies that they are hiring to look into this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not a amount of how much money is it. It's, we are trying to prevent this in general, right? Like, with the whole, like, I mean, okay, so we put up a video last year, right? Of one of Chewy streams where he used chilled cow videos, right?
Yeah.
Within 3 hours,
waking up to 14 emails.
14 copyright claims on the video, which I understand on YouTube that's automated. Now that's happening on Twitch. It's been happening for a long time with different products and things. You know, you see it all the time with things from sports like NFL, NBA, stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. They spend millions of dollars creating these things, and they don't want anyone else to be making the money off of what they have created.
I have a very interesting side note, at least to me, is that Mickey Mouse is about to go into public domain. Do what you will with that information.
And before 20 GMK Mickey Mouse ideas pop up.
just saying.
All from 1 day old, one comment accounts.
I want to say they're it goes in like 2024 or something like that. Mickey Mouse goes into public domain.
Oh, Disney's trying to go through litigation.
They're
to try to
doing
get that extended.
everything they can, but it's like until the law is changed, we can't do anything. But
because they're going to go through hell, because within like I think like 25 years, then they lose the IP of Snow White, Cinderella. Like they start to lose their base princesses, which is like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Especially since Mickey Mouse, the Mickey Mouse head is quite literally their logo as well.
Yes. It's
gonna be risky.
Interesting. Well, and I think Vin Keys brings up a good point. This is obviously off topic of keyboards, but it brings up a good point. Money is greater than law. What's going to happen is, yes, it will go into public domain. That's not going to stop Disney from being like, you need to take this shit down. We'll take you to court. We'll take you to court all day long. We'll pump out some movie that'll make us $1 billion, and we're gonna drain every penny you've got. And then after you're done paying all your lawyers, we'll go, okay, we're done. Never mind, we withhold, and then you're out of money.
The classic, I'm going to keep you in court so you go bankrupt before.
And then,
then you have to settle. Out. Yeah.
So it's, it's kind of one of those it might, but Disney has too much money. So, but yeah, anyway. So with Blackpink, what's the fix here, guys? Because it seems simple, right? You just what do you do?
I mean, I think they
fuck with the mouse. Sorry, girl, but that was good.
I think they just need to pull knobs and then just, as you said before, just make it pink on black. Easy as that. It's the easiest fix you can have for a set like that. And then just you can even keep the sub-legends if you want. Like they can't say you can't have sub-legends. They don't own an entire language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think it's a pretty easy workaround.
I think it also depends on the conversations with the management company for the band too, because like if they can somehow get them involved, then they could run it as is, right? I think that's what you push for, because honestly, I had no idea that this was related to some K-pop group. I'm not big in the K-pop scene, but I was like,
just released a song with Lady Gaga.
Well, yep, sure. I didn't think that there was a need for this set in general. Like, I didn't think the set would do well, and I think if you take the ties to the K-pop group away, I don't think it does well at all. So like what Crubble said, I would just probably cancel it if they can't come to some sort of an agreement with the group in order to put it out in this current state.
And then at that point, how much money are you? Because they could go, we want all the profits, and you're like, well, shit, all right, bye. Like,
well, I mean, I think,
and they have every right to just say, we want all of the profits from this. We don't care. You're using our likeness. If we don't get all the profits, we will sue you. And then that would just immediately kill it.
Well, the problem that you run into is that with music groups, it's kind of like a tricky situation, because you could have like 3 different people could own the actual like band name and all the rights to everything, right? Like it could be the band themselves own it. It could be the management company for the band that owns it, and it could be the label that owns the rights to all this because of the way contracts work.
And you've got crazy things too, because like their song titles, the person who wrote that song, that person's entitled to money too, because they're using a song that they wrote, and that's, I'm sure, in a contract. So that's a lot of different things, and that's like, well, okay, the person that wrote do is entitled to just as much money as the person that wrote Boom Baya, but how do you split that up? So it's I think the best thing you do here is you kill it and you go back and release GMK Pink on Black.
Actually, in regards to what Dixie said, I think that they did actually rip logos from the album covers as well.
Oh,
Like I'm pretty sure they outright ripped some logos from the
if you
album.
took the logo, then that's just straight up.
But that depends.
Which is
'cause, like,
just not even smart. It's like you're just ripping someone's made logo with this direct association.
yeah, and well, the thing is, a lot of times the album cover art, like, the artist typically will no longer own that art.
Yeah,
they
they'll
sell that
the
art to the like artist management company or label. Typically in that situation, it's the label. But yes, especially with song titles, then you get into rough issues with labels because labels are ruthless.
thirsty.
Yeah. Like you think Nintendo's bad? Look at freaking UMG, dude. They go hard. Like
Yeah.
they're hitting people right now on Twitch for clips from 2017 and doing DMCA takedowns, which if you don't know, unlike on YouTube where you're kind of unlimited on how many copyright claims you can get, on Twitch, if you get 3, your channel gets banned.
Yeah.
And you had people this past weekend who got like 5, like out of nowhere. And so Twitch is having to basically redo a whole bunch, not redo anything. They're having to change the way that they crack down on things. And yes, you get hit by UMG on YouTube vids, but typically it's just a claim. They take all the money that's generated from that video and that's done. Whereas if you get like actual copyright strike on YouTube, that's when it starts taking away from your 3 strikes rule there. So,
and usually with those things, those people they're just there. If you want, I don't know the video, but H3, the H3 podcast does a really good job going into all the DMCA takedowns and stuff like that and copyright claims. But usually it's as simple as, hey, you use this, we get that money, and then the conversation's over at that point. But yeah, it's whenever they start going, okay, not only do we want the money, but we want you to never do this again. So we're going to take you down instead. And that's where it does get really scary.
I feel like with a bunch of these like Twitch and YouTube, I personally think they're going down a little bit of a crap hole, if you will, because for example, let's take YouTube. I'm someone who's very like interested in like, the whole like YouTube drama, like stuff like that happens with like between people and stuff that actually happens on the platform with management and such. And one thing that I've heard recently is that YouTube is getting pretty much manipulated by these bigger companies who are saying, "Hey, we'll give you X amount, but we get this power. We get this amount of power as well." To the point where people's channels are getting demonetized who have been on YouTube for years now.
Mm-hmm.
You have accounts being flagged for absolutely no reason. You have videos making millions of views just being claimed, so that the person loses all that money just like that. And it's like you can't really do anything when you're going against a massive corporation.
Yeah.
Well,
and more.
Okay.
Even recently with Naughty Dog, with the whole Last of Us thing, pretty much Naughty Dog went after a bunch of smaller content creators who they knew that they could go after these guys. They're making little bits of money, but instead of doing the typical takedown claim, they went after the actual financials instead.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and so Vinky says it's a Twitch issue, not a streamer issue. It's actually not a Twitch issue. It's a DMCA issue because DMCA is a legal thing. It is a law that was put into place like in 2004. Like it's a direct result of the whole Napster thing. Thanks Metallica. It's 1998. Yeah. So even further back than that, it's outdated laws that are over 20 years old that don't hold up to today's, like the way that media is consumed today. So that's the issue, right? Like Twitch can't change the way that the DMCA happens. YouTube can't change it. They have no say in it. They have to legally punish people for doing this. And so there needs to be changes on that end. But we are very far outside of keyboards right now.
Yes. We are. Anyway, let's bring it back to Keebs. So to kind of, we can even kind of keep it along the same trails of, you mentioned earlier the Dixie blockers, which was a very interesting. I remember that week when that whole thing kind of exploded, because it's like, can you really like claim that a particular layout is 100% yours and you can't use it? We've sorry for the ears. We talked a lot with Drifting Bunnies, because Drifting Bunnies has the Austin, which is, while similar, unique in itself. And does he own that layout? Can you own a layout? So something brings me up. If you don't mind showing off your board. Yeah, I know, Dixie, I do know that you never called it that yourself. But can you show off your board one more time, Fropsie, if you don't mind? People are claiming a lot that this is, obviously looking very similar to the J01 and the J02, specifically the J02, I believe. But it's kind of another thing. It's like, well, does Jay own pin rails now forever?
So I actually spoke to Jay about this, and he was like, yeah. He said that an absurd number of people, after I posted like the first prototype pictures onto Top Cloud, he said that people started PMing him about it, asking if this was like a new like collaboration J series board. And he was like, I have no idea why people are asking me, but pretty much I think people just draw the association of, because someone has done something first, that means that they almost have dibs on it.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's kind of almost like this, like not pre-K, but like younger years, sort of schoolyard crap, where it's like
dibs mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like it shouldn't really work in a hobby like this. Like I feel like giving something a name makes sense. For example, like I call them Dixie blockers as well, just because that's what I'm used to calling them. Like saying, oh, 0.75 U blockers every single time I'm trying to refer to them is not as easy. And I mean, they were made popular on Dixie's Bower, so it makes sense. But things like you then have those few little special eggs who will absolutely flip out if you don't like credit Dixie for using 0.75 U blockers.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the Godspeed IC, we had I added a comment section, just say thoughts, opinions, etc. And I think a good, like, out of the 600-ish comments, around about 200 or so were comments about Dixie blockers. And it's like, does it really matter that much? I don't see Dixie making an issue about it. I don't see. I don't understand.
Yeah.
What's the problem here?
Well, and it's funny because like that board, I would say yes, it because of the way that the pin rail is and that is it copper there, but J's are brass.
Yeah.
It's similar in that design cue, but like in reality, that board looks closer to a CA66 than it does the J02.
Yeah.
Like, and CA66 is a 2018, late 2017 board.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think honestly what you do is like, they don't own it, but you can always like, it's kind of, to me, calling it a Dixie blocker is kind of like, hey, thank you. Thank you for recognizing that I popularized something, right? Like, with the pin rail, if you say, well, it's just kind of a J inspired pin rail, it's like, cool. Thank you. Like he can't claim any money on it. Jay doesn't have a copyright to putting a pin rail on a keyboard, and Dixie doesn't have the copyright to putting a 0.75 blocker on a keyboard, but you can kind of do it in a like honorary way, right? You can do it for now, right? But you can kind of do it in a way that makes it like, not the word alluding, but you just kind of can go, hey, I thought that this was great. I wanted to change it up and kind of put my own spin on it, but I do really like it. And it's like, then why can't someone else do something?
Yeah.
Why aren't you getting just as mad at Keycult for making a TKL from an IBM board 20 years ago?
I feel like a lot of people like this is from people I've spoken to, from things I've heard, that like people do say like my designs are derivative, which I understand. But things that, to be completely honest, when I design, and I've spoken to a few people about this, like even when I'm streaming and I do designs, I just make up as I go along. Like I don't look at anything. I'm just like, okay, this looks good. This checks out. I like this. Nice. And I just go on like that. But then it's normally after the fact that people then say like, oh, this looks like this, and which I'm then like, well, crap. For example, I worked with I was doing a little thing on a top clack with a member I like Rust to, and I was like, I want to teach you how to design a board. Name a layout. He said 60%. We went to designing. Him and Clay made the joke about a half seamless, referring to the recent Think 6.5 round two. And I was like, okay, let's do that. By the time I finished, I looked at it and I looked at the side profile and was like, Salvin joined in VC. And he clicked on it and he's like, scratch that. I was like, why? And they're like, come to think of it, it looks like a Kira from the side profile. Now, I've never owned a Kira, and I have never really spent much time looking at it. Looking at it, it does look like a Kira side profile.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes to the argument like, is there only so much you can do with a pretty much
Square
metal
or
rectangle?
a rectangle, yeah.
Or is it just the fact that subliminally you are affected by these other designs that you see previously? So you make the same choices without actually recognizing that you've made those choices, so that it looks somewhat similar.
Yeah, and I thought we were kind of, as a community, past this a little bit with the like, I remember when everything started happening with the Alice style boards, like everyone was trying to make a version of the Alice, and a lot of people were doing things
Chunk right here.
Yeah, like everyone's trying to make their own thing with it, and there were some people who were upset, and I kind of thought we were past that because there was so much support for it. But it seems like every time, I think it seems like now, because boards are, I think, happening more often, people are more upset. Whereas like then the Alice is kind of this unattainable product, so they got a pass. But it's like, don't be so upset. If the original creator is fine with it, then it shouldn't matter to you.
Yeah, then follow them. I don't remember what board, but I remember just a few weeks ago, Osiris and Drifting Bunny sent me a picture of a board that had a very similar side profile to the Baka, and I was and now Eric wasn't sending it by any means as a like, oh man, look, like someone stole this. It was more just like, this is funny. But I had a couple people as well start sending me this board, and I was like, man, I drew that on a fucking napkin, basically, and said, can you do this? And he said, yeah, and I thought it looked cool. That doesn't mean shit for it. It just means that I wanted a little curve there. And so it's just, boards are going to look, I mean, it goes all the way back to the Clippa versus the Tofu. It's like, no, it's a rectangle.
Yeah.
Like, calm down. It's a rectangle. You can do your best to change minimal things, but at the end of the day, it's all a freaking keyboard. It's all a rectangle. Unless it's an Alice, then it's a polygon of some shape.
Yeah.
But it's, it drives me crazy when I see stuff like that, where it's like, cool. The reason that we want more pin rails is, guess what? The JO1, very impossible to get your hands on. The JO2, already going to be very hard to get your hands on. If you like the pin rail, maybe add more pin rail boards into the community.
An issue that I have right now with the state of this hobby, as well as the state of Geek Hack, is the fact that people are pushing to be more unique now. But it comes to the point where you're pushing it to the point where you're throwing your brand over everything. You're making these designs that are not conventional at all. Like, they don't add any practicality. They don't make it quote-unquote innovative. So what you're doing is pretty much just throwing a bunch of random design elements together, saying this is unique, and then throwing it up on Geek Hack in hopes that people will approve of it and they can go into group buy. There was this one board, like, I forget its name. I was talking to Rustu and a couple other people about it last night. Where pretty much it's a very unique looking board. It does have accenting all over. Like the top has a brand name on it, back brand name, bottom brand name, inside brand name, and then you click on the typing test. And excuse my language here, but it sounded like absolute shit. Like, it's obvious the effort was there. Like, I respect them for putting the effort through, but it didn't sound good, which means that they put more effort into making a board that looks different and that looks like their own, and spending the time to make something that is unique all in itself. That has a different sound profile, can feel different, but still retains that cool look. Just my
Yeah.
opinion, though.
No, I think
Man.
that's the thing. People try to shove as many different like trends to try to make sure that everything is, that it sells out in 5 minutes, or that it hits an insane, number of boards sold, when it's like reality. Just try to make a good board. Just try to make something that's awesome, where people are going to get it in their hands and they're going to be like, wow, this is great. Yeah.
I'm glad I spent my hard-earned money on this. I'm glad that I got this for hype.
Cough, cough, Tiamo.
Oof. Shots fired.
That board is I mean, it quite literally thieved the Jane V2 bottom and the Matrix 1.2 top. It's like, I don't respect that at all. Like, you're just slapping your logo on someone else's I guess vision, and I don't think that's respectable. And then you see people who are flipping it for $1,000 where it actually gets sold, which is even worse.
Whenever the TMO comes up, it's like that Don Draper meme where it's like, I think terribly of you, and I look at the TMO, I'm like, I don't think about you at all.
Oh, the TMO is the 50, right?
Yeah.
No, there's the Tiamo, which is a Chinese clone.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said TMO. I thought you were talking about the TMO.
Yeah, no, it sounds similar. It's
I had no idea what the
TIAMO.
TMO was. But
Yeah,
no,
you'll see it in the aftermarket sometimes, but it's nasty.
but I also don't think about the TMO 50 at all. So I'll just lob that out.
I don't think people are happy
Sacrifice it
with
to
their
the sun
V2s.
gods.
I think the V2 did not have the same quality as the V1.
I was
What were you
watching
looking
a Teos stream earlier, and looking at the blue anno on it, and it was very mixed matched. Like,
It'd
the
be
top
like
was way more vibrant than the bottom, and it was kind of like, oof. Still a beautiful board, though, in my opinion.
It happens.
Yep. So
This is the best of us.
so you said earlier you've got some big plans coming soon
Yeah.
with these SF boards. So tell us about the SF lineup, how that started, and what we can expect in the coming 6 months.
So the SF lineup is essentially a lineup of Satisfactory Designs boards. So they're all boards that have my logo in various places, but it's normally just kind of a small accent. And it's kind of just design styles that I absolutely love. So whether some of them are gasket, some of them are top mount with absolutely flex cut plates. So I kind of just designed it based off of what I like for that set form factor. I talked to friends to see what they think of it, so on and so forth. But it's called the SF series because it was going to be satisfactory. So you have like the Satisfactory 65, 75. Issue with that, the satisfaction already exists.
Yeah.
So automatically, people would just be drawing out that
Comparison.
conclusion, which means that it wouldn't get anywhere because then they're going to say, "Hey, f you, man, you stole that name, scumbag." So it's like, I can't run that anymore. Great. But the plan with the Satisfactory boards is to pretty much just run them as multiple waves of 25 to 30 units, and also just accept commissions for them, just so that if someone wants a unique colorway for it, but can't join in the group buy at a time, then I'll throw in attack on another $300 to $400 plus onto the group buy price. That way they can pretty much get their custom one-off version of it without having to worry about waiting for a group buy to see if there's a color they want or not. And these are pretty much the first line of boards where I'm planning on releasing as pretty much through fulfillment through myself. So instead of doing my pretty much my lineup of my next 6 or 7 boards, which are all going to different vendors I've spoken to, I'm doing this series of 5 boards all on my own.
Well, good luck to you, man. Excited to see that stuff.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
a little nervous about that part. Even fulfilling the prototypes for the more recent SF65, I almost had a heart attack halfway through it because some pen rails got botched and the case bottom got botched, and I started freaking out. And since I didn't want to tell the people who bought it, like, hey, I need more money to pretty much buy these replacements, I ended up paying out of pocket. So hopefully, I'll have enough capital by then to actually take care of these mishaps without having to worry about charging anyone any extra money. Because, in my opinion, I want to make a premium product where they get what they pay for, or even a little extra.
Yeah,
I think that's one of those things that's the unseen issues. Like that's the unseen things you have to deal with when you run a group buy is going back and being like, oh crap, this top was messed up. This bottom was all messed up. Now I have to come out of pocket for this. That's why there's markup. Because I think it's funny because there's two segments of the community. There's a segment of the community who are like, I should know how much everything is actually at cost and I shouldn't have to pay that much more. Why am I paying all this price premium? And then there's a segment of the community who's like, why are things, why is everything so expensive on the aftermarket? So it's funny how there's two sides to it. Like
someone's going to get mad at something for some reason.
Like, for example, I'm just going to pull it out quickly. So for the FE run of the SF, sorry, box is all over myself now. So this is actually the original design of it and run of it, which was pretty much a E-black finish with a sandblasted weight and as well as a sandblasted pen rail. The issue with it was the fact that they had pretty much caused severe damage to the pen rail. And then these pen rails unfortunately not run cheap since, for some reason, it's obvious, since COVID hit, pretty much they've been upscaling the cost of manufacturing since in China they're pretty much having to worry about making fixtures and such for the to create these masks, which means that they then have to outsource it to another manufacturer, which means that I need to pay a fee to the main manufacturer as well as this outsourced manufacturer. So it was absolute pain in the butt, but yeah, not much to really be said about it, unfortunately. One thing that I do want to incorporate in the future for future designs, though, is kind of including more of what I've learned over the past few years with my actual courses, as well as applying stuff that I will learn in college, since I am going to be a freshman in university soon. So pretty much applying things that I'll learn can hopefully benefit the keyboards I design, namely sound as well as acoustics. I had the luck of actually speaking to a sound engineer a couple weeks ago in regards to the plate for the SF65. For those who have seen it, it is a very, very flex cut plate. I would honestly say it's barely plate at all. It's mostly just air and empty space. And I went with that design to pretty much make sure that it's both flexible and also so that the actual sound produced can almost sound thockier on space bars and most modifier keys, which it ended up doing the job right. But more research to be done and more theses to be tested.
So let's see. Dixie Mac asks, has the keyboard community and his time designing boards affected his decision of what he wants to study in college?
I would say yes, but no. So I'm from a Middle Eastern family, which means we're gonna tell you what to do. You don't like it, you're not part of this family. So I was pretty much told my entire life, you're gonna be an engineer. Doesn't matter what type of engineering, biomedical, software, industrial, you're gonna be an engineer. So I've kind of been groomed to pretty much be an engineer through courses and tutors and such that I've had. But I'd say that I was on the fence between software engineering and biomedical. However, I spent some time in this hobby and speaking to a lot of people in this hobby are, of course, in some way connected to software engineering. And I was like, you know what? Talking to these people, listening to what they do, I actually like this, and I think this is a path that's more suitable for myself. Hopefully, if Satisfactory Designs does work out for me, and if I can become a small-time vendor, I can hopefully continue doing this on the side, making some money, and who knows, maybe one day I'll have that bell ringed and I'll earn my wings to get to become a full-fledged vendor.
Gotta get that yacht next to Dixie in 159. on the same yard.
We're getting there, man.
Look
So
up to both of them. So
there you go. So guys, if you guys have any questions for our friend Fropsie here or us, please at Mex on Deck, throw the question in. We are happy to answer whatever you would like. I want to go through some of these amazing vendors that we have just talked about. And we'll start off with switchmod.net. So if you guys did not see in their Discord, he is announcing that he's going to be fulfilling a little bit more on the lube side, but is going to be backing out of that soon and turn more towards kind of, he does have his group buys and stuff, and he still sells springs and cool stickers, but and that 4% off is still going to work on non-group buy items at switchmod.net/mexondeck. But, give him a cheer. Give him an I love you, Krelby. He's a good guy that's clearly been having a minute. So I have not sold springs for like 1 year already. Well, one day. Those 38-gram springs, man. But yeah, check out switchmod.net/mex-on-deck for 4% off any of those awesome goodies in his store. Dixie Mech, you can go to mexondeck.dixiemech.com. Pick up GMK Moto Round 2, as well as those awesome keycap cases or containers, I should say. Check out mexondeck.project.link. Nothing really at the moment shining through, but keep an eye out. We got keycap sets coming, serious coming, as well as candykeys.com/mexondeck. Pick yourself up some cat explosion. Was that explosive enough, or do I need to like scream it?
No, you're good.
So, and then we also have our awesome partner, Zap Cables, who makes the best cables in the business. Tight Beast, who has an awesome newsletter, as well as Smith & Rune. Be sure to check out the extra priced Iron 165s so you don't have to search Mech Market for $1,300.
Yeah. Someone's asking me how much I got my Orange 75 for. I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
It was like in the 300s.
It wasn't $900. That's
yeah,
for sure.
It was somewhere in like the mid to high 300s. I think it was like either like 350 or 375. I did get a little bit of a discount because it was a local sale. Like I was able to meet up with him. So he did cut off a little bit because he didn't have to ship it or deal with any kind of packaging or anything. It's like, hey, here you go.
Went with him. We were in a grocery store parking lot.
Yeah, dude. Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Does Fropsie have any hot takes you'd like to share from Rust 2?
of course it's from him. You know what, Rust 2, for my own integrity, I'm going to say no.
Ooh.
He's trying to bait you.
Yeah, I know.
Between you two, who smells worse? And I don't know. Probably me. Eric takes like 3 showers a day.
Yeah, I shower a lot.
I shower like every other day.
Shower gang.
Dude, if I go out and do something like say I've work a really long day and I'm like going crazy at work, like walk like 10 or 12 miles or something, I'll come home, shower, go to bed, wake up, shower again. Like I'll take 3 showers in a day sometimes, depending on what's going on.
Let's see. Mex on Deck. I'd like Fropsie to speak on his thoughts of me when he first started designing, and I pushed him hard on everything he did.
From Dixie.
From Dixie?
Yeah.
So with Dixie, actually, for a long time, and I think I still do. I do still look up to you as a vendor and as a designer. I respect everything that you do, to be completely honest. There was that rough patch with the SF65 where I know we did have those back and forth, so a little bit of a it was a little heated back and forth.
Creative
mainly
differences.
Creative differences. mainly what I call frop salt. But I would get ticked off, but honestly I have to thank you more than anything else for pretty much encouraging me to do something different, even sometimes in PM saying like do something different, do something unique. It does help, and it makes me open my eyes, especially as someone who is younger. Sometimes I'm not able to put the pieces together. So I will admit that I do have many flaws. So just to have someone there who honestly anyone there to just point it out to me, to tell me what to do. I'll look up to them and I'll respect them an incredible amount. Also, the fact that so by the way, for those who don't know, I do have a keycap tier list, which has gotten flack before. But all Dixie sets are actually on the S tier and A tier for mine.
You gotta send me that. You gotta send me this tier list. Now
Yeah.
I want to judge it hard.
Oh no!
I'm very excited about that. What is Fropsie's favorite weeb set?
So this. Oh, it was Lord OK, of course.
Sorry, okay, Lord K.
So it's kind of like a known thing that I do not like weeb sets at all. I think I just do not like anime themed sets. If you pretty much say, "Oh yeah, my set is inspired by this one anime character's clothing," I will just close your IC, or I will just put my infamous copy pasta of me saying, "Come on, really?" At this point, I think that a bit too many anime inspired sets are popping out, and people need to kind of tone it down a little bit. And if you want to do an anime set, probably have Mono Legends if you want to have it weeb themed, so it can actually fit with your theme. If you need to, if you have to have an excuse to throw on sub legends onto every single anime themed set, that just reflects you. That's just me, though. I'm also very toxic when it comes to this stuff. So
Yeah,
There's
I
that.
mean, it's
Toxic can be good in small doses.
one of those things I never understand what it's for, so I just kind of like block the fact that it's a weeb set out of my head because I don't really care about desk mats that much. I don't use desk mats.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and then to me, the actual set itself, I don't purchase novelties on most sets. So I'm like, to me, it's just a keycap set that I like it or I don't.
Yeah.
Fropsie, how did your first design get noticed, and who did you reach out to? This is from Evil Deeds.
Oof. Okay, first design, because I think that's something we should not talk about. In terms of the first design I was gonna go into group buy for, I think it had to be the Sakura, in which that one went like kind of through a bumpy list of vendors, where I kind of had Mike from Novel Crease was going to join in on it. He wanted to support the project. He liked it, but I wanted it to kind of be a private group buy at first to see if I actually wanted to do this thing, to see if I actually wanted to go into keyboard group buys and carry on designing boards. So I did have him there for me. However, I went with talking to the guys at a Clue Board. Unfortunately, things get kind of a little muddled along the way, to the point where pretty much there was an issue with the first ever prototype. There was some PCB issues, and I think it took like 3 months for me to finally kind of settle in the project.
Who is that?
And I think by then it did fail. We did have Mike kind of almost ready to help with it, but unfortunately, push came to shove, and it
Hey,
but now it's being rerun with Jay, so I'm beyond enthused because it's like, hell yeah, Jay.
The same Jay where you stole his idea. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
APA, thank you for the huge raid. 128
Hey.
people. Guys, we are in the Ask Fropsie questions, Ask Us questions. So if you have a question for any of the three of us at Mex on Deck, and ask the question, and we will happily ask it for you. But can you please send me this tier list real quick?
Yeah. Let me see.
I will say it was really cute to see the
Frops, what face?
the interaction between you and Dixie right there, because I think that is cool. I think when you have someone who's been seasoned in designing and doing things in the community, helping out someone, even if it is a little bit of tough love, I think it's cool. It's cool to see that, and it's nice to know that you kind of took it as that and didn't like take it personally, because I think a lot of times people in the community take any criticism that they get like very personally, when a lot of times it's not meant for that. That's not what's meant.
Pre Godspeed group buy, I think that's the way I acted. Like, I did not take any critique. Like, you gave me a critique, I would bitch about it. I would say, "F you, mate. You're just being a dick to me. You don't like me. That's why you're saying this." Now I've kind of learned the ropes a little bit, to the point where I actually can understand that someone's actually just giving me critique, to listen to them, to say, this is concrete, therefore I cannot do this, or to say, sure, I'll take your advice into consideration, I'll redo this thing and do it. So I think that I like to say that this hobby has heavily improved me as a person, also helped me mature to the point where I'm actually able to do some of this stuff. And of course, Dixie and people like him, as well as just everyone in this hobby, has just helped so much, pretty much. I guess make me age better is the best way of saying it.
I'm skimming through this list, and denim.
Yes, okay. People got angry at me about
All right,
that.
so real quick, guys, if you're unaware of a tiered list, it's usually S and then A through F, and like each tier is good versus bad. And denim. Let's mark what denim is above real quick. Minimal, Space Cadet, Mizu, Nines, DMG, Serica, Monochrome, Bento, Olive, Hyperfuse Origins, 8008, which by the way, lie, that's in C. Kidding, I'm just calling you out.
Where's
But
oh, there it is. Yeah.
denim. Explain.
Okay, so many people. Okay, so I also posted this in a TL server before, and people like just went in on me. They're like, "Why the hell do you have denim in the S tier? Why the hell do you have originative Japanese in S tier?" And it's like, because there's such unseen sets. Denim itself, I like, for those who've seen it in person, it's beautiful. I absolutely love colors of the color blue, as you can see from my bedspread, my blanket, like my wall. I love the color blue. So like that shade of blue and denim, I absolutely love, and I feel like it's just such a sleeper set that so many people ignored because it's unoriginative. I mean, not many people like originative to begin with. Nevertheless, really try to buy extras from them since they are expensive. It's like what, like 180, 190 now to get an extra
180
for
to 200
denim.
for all the.
So no one wants to pay that much for an item that is at retail. I personally kind of ignore the price of like extras now because I base everything off of cost of base kit during group buy, and I just find that Venom was that one set that kind of just hit me a different way.
It slaps. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, to each their own. That's I enjoy that I get to tear this apart. Don't see camping anywhere on this list, so
Oh, GMK camping in Japan.
not camping in Japan, just OG camping.
OG
Or is
camping. I think that was released pre 2018,
Okay,
which is
well
why.
then that is an acceptable answer. Trey Pop says Mex on deck. I thought that guy was a bot. That's because the Meeseeks bot on a lot of discords is very similar to the face. I don't actually know what your face is on Discord, but it's a
the
thing.
Smile.
Yeah. Boner's Weenus.
Boners or weenus?
Why do all keyboard
Beautiful
people
name.
have cats? Chewy and I don't have cats. At one point Chewy had cats, but not anymore. Fropsie, are you a cat man?
I'm a dog man. My dog, he's an outside dog, but when he comes in, he causes havoc. Yeah, I'm team dog, 100%.
I know Dixie's team dog. He's got some adorable puppers. Yeah, I mean,
this is
dogs.
a dog channel, and we don't hate cats. I don't hate cats. I'm
I'm
not
allergic to them. I used to own 2 cats while I was allergic to them. And it's just like, cool, I can't like take a deep breath on your back, but they were chill. I like pets. Dogs give you love when you need it. Cats give you love when they want to give it to you.
They are
Exactly.
Sometimes you need love.
While there are some dogs that suck,
Yes.
I will say that there are, to me, in my experience, there are significantly more cats that kind of suck than dogs that kind of suck, in my personal experience. But
Yeah.
I'm a dog fan for that same reason as Chewy said. But I can appreciate a cute cat. These cats are cute.
And fun reminder, I will go hard in the paint on this. The only reason dogs suck is because their owners sucked.
Preach it. I 100% agree.
Anubis
I worked
Cam-
at a
Anubis Cam. We need to get an Anubis Cam set up.
He's asleep.
I need to get it. I thought about literally taking my camera last night because Howie was just sleeping on the bed that's like right here, and I wanted to like get that set up. Just a little check in.
doggy cam.
Little puppy.
Although I know the second I set it up, he'll never sleep there ever again.
That's true. Howie's not. Anubis is like, I have my spot. This is where I stay.
Howie has like 5 spots.
Yeah. So, but
So
I think that's kind of it. We don't have any more questions. There's one about asking if 8008 is a weeb set since it's based on girls' underwear. I think that's completely different. It's not based off of an anime or anything. I
Yeah.
wouldn't consider 8008 a weeb set at all.
yeah. If anything, Dual Shot's more of a weeb set than 8008.
Yeah.
And Dual Shot's not a weeb set, so
I actually regret not joining on DualShot.
I think there's going to be a lot of people.
Yeah.
that's I gave Osiris the option of Dual Shot versus Olivia for Christmas, and he said Dual Shot, and we talked about it, and we were like, I think Dual Shot's going to be that. Olivia is going to be very easy to obtain very soon. Well, okay, not very soon. That's going to take forever. But
Whether it's affordable though, because I have a feeling that even though this is ending, going back to flip prices, Olivia, I have a feeling is going to flip for $300 easy aftermarket
yeah,
once it comes
it
out.
will.
But the question is like, how many
Extras
did he buy, right? With 5,000 base kits being sold, like if you do the math, there was like almost $500,000 spent on Olivia at Group Buy. How much did he reinvest into extras? Because look at a set like what was Neflox set? Metropolis, where he had it in stock for a long time because he bought a lot of extras.
Same with Olive.
Yeah, same with Olive. He's buying a significant
and
amount of extras.
Those stayed up for a long time. Now, I don't think Olivia is going to stay up that long, but I think if you mark it down in your calendar and you mark it down on the hour, you'll be able to get in on it.
Yeah.
If you try for it, I think you'll be able to get in on it. Like kind of like blueberries. Like blueberries, we were able to get it was open for like an hour. And I could see Olivia with that many extras. I could see it being open for a couple hours, but I don't think it's going to last the same length of time Metropolis and Lime and Olive did.
But I think it'll last a couple days. I don't think it'll even be just hours.
I guess it just depends on how many you got.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we usually like to wrap up the interview / chatting chill session with 2 final questions.
First one will be about the community. Second one's a little bit silly, as I'm sure you probably know because I know you've watched the stream before. First one being, what is your favorite and least favorite thing about the community right now?
Favorite thing is the actual, just the number of people who are active. It's honestly beautiful to see how many people are active, talking with each other. A lot more friendly people as well. New faces who are actually sticking around. You check in VCs, you see people like 10 plus people in VCs, and it's nice because you also just get I'm getting more familiar with a lot of people and actually getting like inside jokes are being developed, so on and so forth. And it's nice. Least favorite thing, I would have to say, like I've said this entire stream, is probably the aftermarket. As someone who pretty much solely exists on the aftermarket in terms of buying, I don't like the way it looks right now since I don't want to spend 400 plus on a GMK set anymore. Yeah.
There it is. So the last question, which I'm sure you know, The Office or Parks and Rec?
Oof. Do I want to sacrifice my possible future career? I would have to say Parks and Rec.
Finally! It only took us almost 6 months to get to someone saying Parks and Rec in 2020, but the streak is over.
After watching both shows, I think 4 times over, I'd have to say Parks and Rec has far more novel moments than Office.
Yeah.
In my opinion, at least.
I watched Space Force recently, though, which is just if Michael Scott joined the military.
Space Force was funny.
What?
Go on.
No, I was just gonna say Space Force is funny. It's pretty
It was
hilarious.
good. It was. I did not feel like my time was wasted. I think when you see something like that, they're like, oh, it's immediately going to be, it has to be better than The Office. It doesn't have to be better than The Office. It just has to be funny. And I thought they did a good job. I thought that show, the way I described it to a couple other people, is the writing is kind of meh, but it's acted superbly. The actors just carry that show and make it really good.
And my buddy from high school, I think he did a good job in it.
Yeah, he did, with his little Southern accent and everything.
Yeah, being from Alabama, I think.
So Fropsie, thank you very, very much for coming out and joining us. Guys, keep an eye out on the SF series boards, as well as are there going to be extras for the Godspeed?
Most certainly, yeah.
Most
I spoke to them, and I'm hoping a good number of extras as well. Be it that, since it wasn't limited, a good number of boards were ordered. So fingers crossed.
It's very excited. So guys, make sure to check out Fropsie and keep an eye on his stuff, as we'll watch his career with great interest. So we're gonna go over and toss this raid party over to Mentorly. But yeah, guys, keep at it, man. We need like a cool catchphrase. I don't know. Get hype for Keyboard of the Week on Monday, though. We've got some fun stuff planned for that.
I have to get my camera ready for that.
Yeah. It's gonna be a good thing. Yeah, we're doing that now. Keyboard of the Week on Mondays. It's gonna be fun. So yeah, apparently we're gonna spam "Give Your Pupper a Treat" from Anubis and Howie, which are Chewy and I's puppers. But like Chewy said, we are going to be rating Mentorly, so go tell her what is up, and y'all have a good night.
Bye, Switch Tester.
Bye, everyone.